Before you watch this exclusive interview with Andrew Tate, there are a few things you need to know. Andrew is taking a massive risk agreeing to do this 5-hour and 20-minute interview because he is still under house arrest and under investigation, which means anything he says can and will be held against him. Now, what did we talk about in this interview? We talked about his experience in jail with Tristan, untold stories, religion, how this impacted his life, how emotional was it? Was he scared? You're gonna see a side of him you've never seen before. We definitely talked about BBC. BBC is not going to like this interview for many reasons. You'll see why. It's a total of 15 hours that we spent with Andrew and Tristan at his compound, so a lot was covered. Having said that, there's about 45 minutes of this interview that will be censored due to the topic of discussion being around his investigation in Romania. So if you want to see that 45-minute portion, you will need to text the word Tate to 310-340-1132 or click on a link below to subscribe to an email for that to be sent to you after his investigation or indictment is public. Having said that, brace for impact. You're about to be value-tamed by the one and only Andrew Tate.
I'm winning too well. I'm scared by the incompetence of these clowns.
If this guy is so innocent, how can they get you to go to the dungeon for 92 days? How can they put you on house arrest? How can they do all this stuff?
They could do this to you. They could do this to anyone. They could do it to you or me or any man watching this. Any man watching this. I wake up instinctually at 5 a.m. because that's when they raid your house. I wake up at like 4:59. I just fucking shoot up.
Empires have fallen so many times because they thought they could get away with murder, and then eventually people said, "Listen, stop. You're not gonna do this to me anymore. We're not gonna take a stand."
When I destroyed the BBC, my brother was celebrating. I knew. I said, Tristan, no. You don't beat the British Broadcasting Corporation and make fools of them like this without some new bullshit.
This is where their argument has leaks in it.
I'm genuinely looking for guidance here. Am I supposed to roll over and fucking lose?
You sincerely don't know what the right thing is.
I sincerely have decided that the best thing I can do is stay true to my faith and stay true to God and tell the truth and fight. I'm in a very precarious scenario. Do I continue to win? Do I let them win a bit? Do I just roll over and shut up? What am I supposed to do? I don't know what the right move is. It's difficult.
You sincerely don't know what the right move is.
I sincerely have decided that the best thing I can do is stay true to my faith and stay true to God and tell the truth and fight. The right move for me, I believe, is to fight. And fight to the end, because I think that suicide is always the wrong option. I believe if you're put in a bad position, the best thing you should possibly do is fight to the best of your ability, which is what I'm going to do. However, if I was looking at it purely logically without any kind of ideological motivations, perhaps if I would have shut up when they wanted me to, I wouldn't be in this scenario. But that's just not who I am. You know, Alexander the Great didn't have to keep conquering. Genghis Khan didn't need to take Vienna. He could have just chilled. He kept going. So I feel like when I'm in a position where I don't know what I'm supposed to do, the best thing I can do is just look to God and tell the truth. And that's, yeah, I want my children to be happy, but I have daughters too. And how do you make sure that your daughters are secure and have a good future? Well, I think you do that by building good men. How else do you do it? My daughter is mine now, but she won't be mine forever. She's going to marry somebody. I like the idea of her marrying a good man with honor and principle, a man like me. I don't want to marry some idiot. So they call me a misogynist and I'm anti-woman. I'm pro-woman. The best way you can improve the lives of women is make men, better at being men. Because when a man is a good man, he's good for all of society, including women. He's good for everyone around him when he's good at being a man. So I feel like I'm helping them as well by extension. I look up to my father as a hero, and I would hate for my sons to look up at me and not see me as a hero. Because that's how I believe you should see your dad, as a hero. And I feel like and you're not a hero without an enemy. You want power and you want control. Because once you become actually rich, you learn that the world is all just about people. Right? The best things in your life are people. The best things in your life are family. The things that make you happiest are your friends. Your life experience is the best if you have good team around you, good assistants, good helpers, good staff, whatever it is. It's all about people and controlling people. What do you want money for? To get other people to do what you want. That's all money is. I want a Lamborghini. I can't build one. He can. I will pay him to build me a Lamborghini. It's all about people. So once you get beyond a certain level of money, and there's a certain level of control you want that money perhaps can't buy, then you think, well, I don't care about the money, I want the power. I don't want money, I want them to stay in their houses. Why? Because it says so. I don't have to, they have to. Which God can protect my children? Allah, Islam. I'll move them to Dubai or Saudi Arabia, and none of this will happen. Can I trust a Christian nation? Some of them. Romania is a Christian nation, and to a large degree, they oppose quite a lot of this stuff. But they're also NATO, and they're also EU, and they also rely on bailouts and grants and money. And on a long enough time frame, even in the 7 years I've lived here, I have watched certain attitudes change because money buys influence and power. I'm not leaving. They said, the judge says you have to leave, you have to leave. He goes, then I will stand outside the gate. I will sleep outside. I ain't leaving this jail. And our lawyer said, well, we can make an appeal to just release you because there's less media scrutiny around you. And Tristan's like, no, Andrew's in jail, I'm in jail. Refused to leave. He was adamant he had to stay. That's a brother for me. And it was the same for me. I said to Tristan, if they came into me and said, Andrew, go home, I'd be like, no way. If Tristan's in jail, I'm in jail. We're in jail together. He never for a second complained, never bitched, never moaned, and he was only in jail for being my brother. And then I come out and there's other people, oh, they sent me a piece of paper, blah, blah, blah. You're moaning? It's unbelievable. You truly learn, like I said, jail confirms everything you already knew about the world, and you truly learn who's on your side and who isn't. And that's good to learn, but it's actually crazy. The larger psychological analysis of it all, everyone lives inside their own minds, right? So it's kind of crazy. I came out of jail, and some of the first messages I got from people was them complaining about the problems me being in jail had given. Like, you think that wouldn't happen, right? You think, oh, you come out of jail, people would be like, oh, are you okay? They're like, oh, you're okay? You're out now? Okay, yeah, well, listen, Mo. You'd be amazed. You'd be amazed. And I'm like, I was in jail. What do you want me to do? Yeah, that sounds unfortunate. I was in a jail cell. What do you want me to do about it? It's kind of crazy how much everyone's kind of self-interested. So it's been a learning curve, and you learn a lot about a lot of different people, and your circle gets smaller. And I think that's probably one of the reasons God put me in there, to just learn a lot and make my circle smaller. And you just have to listen to him and pay attention to him. The point is, when you have men around you, there's that natural masculine competition, and that's what drives you. If you're going to be the best version of yourself, even if you're a boxer training for a fight, you train with a team. You train with other boxers. You train with other boxers or other trainers. If you're on a football team, you're pushed by your team. I think life should be the same, right? Imagine you took the normal average man and you moved him into a house of 5 people, and you had a philosopher and a fitness expert and a hypnotist, whatever it was. That will make him a more competitive person overall, because he's trying to compete with all the other people who are on his level. You don't want to take bitch position. So I don't like the idea of my life without masculine. And that's one of the reasons I'm kind of glad that God put me in jail, because if you look at anything that builds a man into a man, there's a degree of suffering. It's very hard to become a man and have a man who's respected and has stories and is capable when he only had a nice life and nice experiences. It's usually the things that made you the best version of you are usually the worst things that happened to you. So the demons I carry from jail, the fact that I can't sleep, I've had girls say to me, you can't sleep, you need to see a psychiatrist. And I said, absolutely not. I would be furious if a psychiatrist walked in here and took my demons from me. I don't care if they could fix me with a click, they're mine. And they were bestowed to me by God. And they are mine to deal with, and they are mine to fix, because that's how I become a better version of me. I would be furious if someone took them away from me. I'm glad I can't sleep. Good, I can train endlessly. That's why I'm bigger than I've ever been. I'll train I'm not gonna waste a minute. But all the demons that have been given to me by God and all the problems that have been given to me by God are mine to fix. I would never, ever allow anybody else to take them from me. I'd be furious. If a psychologist came in and said I could cure you, I'd say, no, thank you, I will cure myself. I don't care if it takes 10 years. I'll cure myself, that's my job. And I know that when that's done, I will be more mentally resilient than I ever would have been without jail. That's the whole point of it, right? So many men say, I want to be the man, but they don't want to suffer, they don't want to fight, and I don't understand why, because even if you look at a superhero movie, they tell you, even in superhero movies, they make it very clear, Batman's parents died, that's why he's Batman. All the bad things have to happen. There's no way to get there without the bad things. I get so many emails from people complaining about their bad things, and I don't have time to reply to any of them, but if I could, I'd say, good luck, congratulations, off you go. Of course she broke your heart. Of course you're sad, of course you miss her. She's with me now. That's life. That's part of it. That's the only way you're gonna get to that level of resilience. You can't become the man any other way. So yeah, I thank God for everything bad that's ever happened to me and all the demons. And I trust that he's not going to give me anything I cannot, in the end, decipher and deal with. In the end, I think it's a puzzle, and you decipher it and you work out the best way to deal with it, and you internalize the good parts, and you become a better and stronger and more resilient person for it. So I have to thank God for it. My mother always says to me, I'm glad I'm not young. And I'm starting to say that now, I'm glad I'm not young. Because I'm telling you, it's going to be scary, right? Because the world is hyper-competitive. Every single thing in the world is competition. I don't think people realize I'm a hyper-competitive person because I understand that every single thing I want, somebody else wants. The girl I want, other people want. The car I want, other people want. The house I want, other people want. The lifestyle, the jet, every single thing you want, somebody else wants. It's a massive competition. As a man, you have two choices. You either accept that as a massive competition and try and play the game, or you just try and pretend it's not a competition and live in perpetual failure. Things like God, religion, personal responsibility, accountability, discipline. And everyone's saying, well, why are they attacking Andrew for just telling the truth and making me go to the gym? Because when you have these things, when you have accountability and discipline and personal responsibility, you have a barrier, you have a parameter, you have a no, you have a limit. They don't want you to have a limit. None of the men are allowed limits. We must accept whatever we are given from our relationship with our woman, from the government, from our job. We're just the slaves. We're the backbone of the tax bracket. We just have to shut up and pay our taxes. As soon as we have limits, they have a problem. That's why they dislike the things I teach. What do I really say? What do I really teach young kids that's genuine dangerous? What do I say? Go to the gym, stick up for yourself? Stick up for yourself, go to the gym, you're allowed an opinion. Educate yourself, be smart, work hard. Believe in things, believe in yourself. Have friends, have strong friends around you. Don't listen to dishonest men or dishonest women. It's not misogynistic to say dishonest people. Non-gendered should be anywhere near you. You should have standards for who's your friend, standards for who you have relationships with romantically, whether you're gay or straight. You should have standards. Telling men to have standards is now wrong think. Because as soon as men have standards, they lose control. They don't want any man to have any standard on anything. They want to come along and say, no, you need the 8th injection. None of them are bestowed with the things that the masculine essence needs to be a good man. You need pride, you need honor, you need a healthy level of ego, you need all of these things. We're taking it all from boys, and what are we giving them instead? Video games, porn, weed. And what do you expect of these people? What do you expect of these shit versions of men besides trash output? You're going to get garbage all across the spectrum. Either they're going to do nothing or they're going to do something bad. They're certainly not going to do anything good when they don't try for anything in their lives. How are they going to do something good? The scary thing about all of this is that there still are two teams in the world. And there is a side of the world where they don't accept this crap. How long is America going to compete globally when you have countries like China and Russia and these other countries where they don't do this? I don't know if you saw, they did that survey to kids of what they want to be when they grow up. Did you ever see that? Yeah. It was crazy. Every American kid wanted to be a YouTuber. Every Chinese kid wanted to be an engineer or an astronaut. Yeah. Who owns the future? Who owns the future? We're in so much trouble. We're in so much trouble as a society, and what are we arguing over? It's insane.
And what do they show you on TikTok, though?
Absolutely, exactly.
But let's stay on this. You asked a very important question. Let's go back to it. We had the same amount of guns, 1950 per capita. Brandon, can you look at that per capita, how many guns we had in 1950 versus today? Yeah. But it's relatively the same. Gun laws haven't changed dramatically from 1950 till today. What's changed from then to today? We took out God out of school. Prozac was invented in 1987. Yeah. The law to legalize advertising drugs, big pharma, in America was 1985. It's only 2 countries in the world that can advertise, us and New Zealand.
Crazy.
So you got God, you got Prozac, you got big pharma advertising, you got the LGBTQ movement that's taking place. You got all of that taking place to where we are today. So when you're talking about guns, what has changed? It's not the guns that's changed. Society's changed. Standards have changed.
Completely.
So how do you fix that? So if that is the biggest problem you're selling, yeah. Number one, here's a problem. Let me sell you why this is the problem. Okay, the people are like, you're right, I'm buying it. Give us a solution. What's the solution?
Yeah, I think the solution comes back down to family values, and that's a very difficult question to answer because it's across the entire spectrum, right? I do feel like it's almost a race to the bottom for men and women now in the modern society. I don't think women are being very good women. I don't think men are being very good men. And I think both of that is accelerating against each other, and it's a race to the bottom.
How do you fix that?
It's difficult. It's hard. And I still think one of the easiest ways to do that is God. I think if you bring back some degree of morality and some degree of standard to both sexes, I think things will start to get better. I can tell you right now, they talk about why does men not want to get married anymore. Men don't want to get married anymore. They come up with all these elaborate reasons. The main reason men don't want to get married anymore is because their girlfriend was... So why are they going to marry her? That's the bottom line of it. Why would you, a white dress means virgin. Marry who? A girl from the club who your friends have been with? Do you want to marry her? Like, when you remove all of the morality from life, you just end up in a scenario where the only possible logical move is to act without morals. Game theory, right? We sit there and we analyze things logically. If you're going to be, if all the women you meet are immoral, how are you going to act? Well, you act morally, you get wrecked. So how do you act? Immorally. It's a race to the bottom. We have to fix society as a whole, and it comes down to even the most basic things like female promiscuity, the most basic things like men sticking up for their last name, the most basic things like men having to be too honorable and too proud to be out of shape or be poor or not take care of a woman. I'm not just talking about women, I'm talking about men. Any woman who's with me, her life is fixed. That is my job. I'm Andrew Tate. I would be embarrassed to have a girl say, I'm Andrew Tate's girlfriend, and have to work a job, unless she wanted to. She can do anything she wants. She's my chick. You can have anything. You run the world now. You're with the top G. Anything you want is mine. I'll take care of you in every single way, but you must take care of me. I take care of you financially and physically. You must protect me spiritually. You must do your job. It's a race to the bottom on both sides. And when you have two genders racing to the bottom and then a child is born, what do we expect from this child? Who's raising the child? The school, the TV, the internet? You trust these people? Look what they're injecting into them. So another thing that's very interesting, you talk about the 1950s, another thing that was different. In the 1950s, parents raised their kids. Who raises kids nowadays? School, internet, Twitch. How much time do you spend talking to your child compared to the programming they get from the Matrix? You're losing in terms of pure minutes. You're losing. You can't even control what your child sees in school anymore. You don't even know. And when you find out they do what they did in California, they're like, what? Most people don't even know this. You have children 15 years old, I've seen it on YouTube, arguing with their own parents, disagreeing with their own parents. The whole point of having children is to instill your values in them. I want my sons to be Emery Andrew Tate. They must think and act and be like me. And for someone, I've had people say to me, what if they're not? If they're not, they're not, that's fine. But the whole point of me having them was my lineage. That's the whole point of me suffering to raise them was my lineage. Why would I raise them to be anything other than what I believe I should be and they should be? That's the whole point of it, and I'm proud of that. I'm not going to sit and apologize for wanting my sons to be Tates. I'm not going to apologize for it. I don't care what the school wants them to believe. They believe what I want them to believe because they are mine. But all of that's gone. So then we also talk about what's different between the 1950s and today. These kids are being raised by people who aren't their parents, and whoever's raising them clearly ain't teaching them anything good. His book, The Art of the Deal, he said, if you're not prepared to walk away, you can't negotiate. And that's the same with absolutely everything. If there's never a bottom line in which you say enough, then you can't negotiate. You have no negotiating position. We talk about this when it comes to children in schools, but this is also very applicable for relationships. I've had girls who say to me, you know what, I was watching TV and they were saying that, I don't know, X, Y, Z. And I would say, listen, I take care of you. I love you very much. I'm going to make sure you have everything you've ever wanted. I'm going to make sure you're physically safe. That's why you're not going to go walking home alone drunk. It's not because I'm a misogynist. It's not because I dislike you. It's not because I'm controlling. It's not because I'm manipulative. It's because it's for your safety, and your safety to a degree is my responsibility. But I saw on the news X, Y, Z. If you believe the news over me, then go find another man. You have to be prepared to walk away, right? This is the bottom line of it. This is what I personally believe. These are my values.
100% with you.
These are my values.
Yep.
And this is what I personally believe.
Yep.
If she says, well, no, I'm not listening to you, and I stay with her anyway, well, then it's over, isn't it? If I fix my one issue, everything else is fixed. You get to a point in life where someone goes, oh, we've got an issue. How much? Tell me the number. I don't even want to know the ins and outs. Just do the transfer, make it go away. So, yeah, as a man, I think you have that imperative to understand that the video game of life as a man is exceptionally difficult, and especially as you get older, as you progress with the levels, it gets harder. It's getting harder and harder. You need to level up your character. This is what amazes me when men go, I struggle with motivation. How can you struggle with motivation in the modern world? Are you asking to just lose? Are you asking to just be erased from humanity?
Yep.
Are you asking to be invisible? How can you be an 18-year-old man and say, I don't have the motivation to train as hard as possible and get as rich as possible? You are born to lose if you don't have motivation at 18. In the modern world, as competitive as it is, all those girls, those 18-year-old girls you go to school with, are talking to some 28-year-old man with a yacht somehow. And you're sitting there lonely and you don't have motivation? You must be out of your mind. The only way to win this game is to become as powerful as possible. It's difficult, and it's getting harder and harder, and this is why I teach the things I teach to men. You can't just be Joe Schmo and win anymore. Those days are over. You have to be something else. Especially Matrix Media, they say, why did you get so big? Because I'm telling the truth. I'm telling you.
Think has the biggest influence to make positive change, like real change? Is it the person with the money, Is it the person with the biggest mic? Is it the person that goes into politics? What is the best way to have the biggest impact?
Yeah, so I think the world has always only ever been a battle for influence. Even if you look at the current battlefield, Ukraine is next door, it's 5 hours drive away. The battle in Ukraine is not just about tanks and trenches and grenades. It's a battle for influence. Who influences the people within this territory? Who is in charge of the thinking, the language, the mindset of people within this geographic? Truly amazing. If you're good to people, if you're generous to people, if you're helpful to people, you'd be amazed how much influence you can build up. I say this to people all the time. I don't think if you're a hardworking person who is honest, who shakes hands, who tries to learn, who does what they're supposed to do, who has a good heart, that you're truly, really not going to be able to get what you want. I think the universe is absolutely and utterly giving. When I see somebody who says they want something and they don't have it, I don't even think they truly even want it. You can have anything you want in the world. When a guy goes, I want a six-pack, then why ain't you got one? If you wanted it, you'd have it. You'd like it. There's a bunch of things I'd like that I don't have, but I don't want them. Everything I've ever wanted, I've got. I've never wanted something and not had it. We all know what we're talking about here. There's things we'd like. I'd like to be able to figure skate. Not enough to go learn to figure skate. I always believed in trying to take the best parts of individual people and then amalgamate them. And I know you want a name, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, but I would look at people who I didn't even respect, but they'd have one particular thing about them I thought that's good. It could be somebody I didn't even like, but he dressed well. I think you just have to be perspicacious and look at people, and there's something you can learn from absolutely everybody, and just try and adapt it all. I'm not saying everybody should be clones of me. For everyone's individual, right? But there might be some things about me they find inspiring that they may adapt and take on board, and then they'll find some things from other people. But learning to speak is something I understood from a very young age how important that would be. That's a superpower.
Okay, so let me go back to the question I was asking, where I'm trying to go with this. So I asked the question, I said, imagine the 20-year-old that's watching this, that's saying, no, Tate, don't give me the answer for anybody can create, contribute to society. I'm not that guy. Talk to me like I'm one in a million. Talk to me like I'm one in. So if I'm willing to give 20 years, 30 years of my life to one way to go up to make true positive impact in America, my country, in the world, what should, don't talk to me like everybody else. Go to standards. What should I do? What angle should I do?
Okay, so first things first, you need to be worthy of respect. And you're going to be worthy of respect through having things which are difficult to acquire. So first things first, the basic things, you need to be very focused on trying to make money, because people listen to you when you have money. They just do. Secondly, you need to be in fantastic physical condition, because when you're in fantastic physical condition, it cannot be bought. It must be earned, and people know that. When you're in, I don't know about you, if someone walked in to sell me something and they were obese, I would not trust them the same as if they were in fantastic physical shape. Because I'd say, I don't think you have dedication and heart. I don't think there's something about you that I just wouldn't trust you the same. So fantastic physical condition and money is the first thing. The second thing, whatever your ideas are, you need to learn how to communicate them. Speaking is a superpower in and of itself. You need to become a fantastic communicator. You need to be comfortable in all realms of communication. You need to be persuasive. You need to be comfortable arguing. You need to be good at debating. There's a lot of people out there in the world who have ideas that they can't even project into somebody else's mind. How are you gonna rule the world with that? How are you gonna get your ideas out there and make an influence if you can't make other people understand exactly what you think? That's the first thing. Second thing, once they understand exactly what you think, you need to make them agree with what you think. These are two different skills. Must be practiced and must be learned. If you're 20 years old and you want to change the world, you need to be having endless debates, endless, without resorting to name calling, not on Twitter like a dummy, in person. And you need to come across in a way that people agree with you. We can go back quickly and talk about the red pill. The difference between me, when I talk to girls on these panel shows, and every other guy when they talk to girls on these panel shows is, when I'm done, all the girls want me. Watch them. Watch the shows. I say the same thing, and by the end, the chicks are in love with me, as opposed to saying the same thing and the chicks thinking I'm a dickhead. That's the difference. I project my ideas and I make them agree in love with me, as opposed to saying the same thing and the chicks thinking I'm a dickhead. That's the difference. I project my ideas and I make them agree with my ideas to a point where they're like, texting me afterwards. I'm not saying anything different, it's how I'm communicating it. You can catch more flies with honey. You need a degree of wisdom, and wisdom doesn't always come with age, it comes with life lived. I had a guy message me, this is a long time ago when I used to reply to my own emails, too big now, but he said, I don't have any stories, my life's boring. I said, bro, where do you live? He said, Madrid. I said, bro, ride the train from Madrid to St. Petersburg. Ride the train from Madrid to Vladivostok. Do the Trans-Siberian Railway. Cost you like $300. He goes, oh, but what if I get robbed? Exactly! That's exactly the point! What if you get robbed? Now you have a story. Maybe you'll die, maybe you won't. But you have a story. Don't bring your watch. Have you got a Rolex? No one wants to rob you anyway. Don't worry about it. You're a brokey. Get on the train. There has to be that degree of risk to even have a story, because when you have a story, then you can communicate the story. You can't be an empty vessel either. So when you say you're telling me how I build this 20-year-old into a super soldier. Yeah, he has to be a master communicator, but he also has to do things which are risky. Risk has value intrinsically linked to it, intrinsically. This is why people, when you do risky things, people want to hear the story. Your coolest stories involve risk. Something went wrong, this could have happened, I almost this, I made it out. Without these risks, you haven't got it. So I would say to the 20-year-old, do what I did.
What's the craziest letter you got?
A lot of poems. One had drops of blood on it. She did a little cut. Lots and lots of love letters. Lots just saying that I'm the last man. They've been in love with me. They watch all my podcasts. And they were with, one of them said she was with her ex-boyfriend. He started watching me. Then she started watching me. Then she wanted me, not him, and got rid of him. And all this craziness. But I didn't trust any of it. Is it real? Is it an agent? Is it a psyop? Who's she? Is she crazy? What if I sleep with her and she says I did something to her? What if 13 years later she contacts the BBC? Garbage. I don't,
that would never happen.
I don't talk to any new chicks. Same as I don't have any new friends. I don't talk to any new chicks.
That's
no new girls.
That's what I thought.
Zero.
So let me ask you, the idea of going through a lot of girls when you're younger, do you think a man needs to go through that, or do you think that is a form of a weakness that holds you, that you're a slave to it?
Right. So that's a good question, and it's a fine line because there's arguments on both sides. However, I think in all scenarios and life experience is always going to be valuable. No matter what it is, you need to have experience. If you're inexperienced to anything, whether it's hunting, figure skating, girls, you're going to suffer.
You pointed at him. You're saying like insinuating.
Sorry, I know. He told me figure skating, and we made fun of it earlier. But
I was technically Patrick.
Oh, sorry.
We're talking
figure
about
skating. You need experience, and experience is exceptionally important. Also, as a man, especially when you're young, you're gonna get your heart broken a bunch of times. Some bigger, older, richer dude's gonna take that chick, and you need to get used to that pain.
So
you need to get through it. So I do think it's a necessary part of being a man, but you don't want to be led by it. There has to become a point where you go, you know what, I'm versed enough. And also, another thing I would like to say is the reason you need to but date lots of women when you're younger, so you have choices.
Define the two.
Yeah.
Which is more important, date or sleep, in your eyes?
I feel like you don't really know. I think that sleeping with a woman, you learn more about them. It's a closer relationship. So I'd say probably sleep with X amount, not crazy amounts, but I would say that, okay, let me give an example. If I go to the supermarket and pick up an apple, and it's the only apple I've ever eaten, can I really say if it's a good apple or a bad apple? It's the only apple I've ever tasted. It might be sour, it might be terrible, I don't know. Whereas if I try 10 apples, I can tell the differences between apples. So I say, what's a good apple, what's a bad apple? I think you need that degree of experience, because sometimes you'll be with a woman and go, yeah, she's great, but if you're not experienced enough, you realize she really isn't all that great, and she actually treats you like a dickhead. Whereas if you've been with enough women, you can always reference back to that girl who actually was really good to you. And you'll probably mess it up because you're young and you're dumb. We've all done it. All of us have that girl we had who was perfect when we were young, and we all ruined it because we're stupid.
Go back to you. I'm curious. How bad of a breakup was it? How bad did she break your heart?
Yeah,
I know you're.
I think lots of men have gone through heartbreak. A lot of men have, and I wouldn't say that I've gone through any heartbreak which is particularly worse than any other guy. What I will say is that I think heartbreak is the most fantastic motivator on the planet. When a lot of men message me and say they're heartbroken, I think that is the most fantastic mindset to be in to achieve things. Because there is that degree of revenge, and there is that degree of vengeance, and that can only be achieved through being so successful. I think that most men, especially young men in the world today, are getting their hearts broken. And when you're saying who are they leaving for, they're leaving for the millionaire who hits them up on Instagram. We all had that girl we messed up when we were young. If I found another girl with those qualities, I certainly wouldn't mess it up. You need experience to understand what you have to value it. If you don't have experience, you don't value what you have. So the original question is a really good one of whether men are chained and enslaved by their desires, or whether they need to sleep with lots of women. I think in the modern world, you need experience, and you need choices, and you need options. But if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. If you're gonna be the guy who's also out there in the club and sleeping with lots of girls, talking to lots of girls, there's gonna be times you lose a girl that you don't wanna lose. You can't be a coward about it. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. There's up and down, there's rain and sunshine. You have to be that man who's gonna go through it all. And then when you've been through enough of it, like I have, like I said, if I find a beautiful girl now who's a 10 and deletes and doesn't want Instagram, that's worth more to me than 1,000 stupid girls. Respect. Yeah, that's who I want.
Yeah, I got you.
For my safety, for my security, for my peace of mind, for everything.
You're clear on what you want today.
Absolutely, because I know.
When you played, you said there was a phase of my life that I kind of went through it. Okay. Was that after the heartbreak?
I would say, yeah, it was after, but I think that was just, I don't know if that was deliberately driven by heartbreak. I think I was just younger and I had less serious motivations. And I wasn't as famous and I wasn't as rich and I was less interested in. So it's not just my current situation that makes me say this. I would say this to any man. If your woman wouldn't wait for you if you went to jail for 5 years, why are you with her? Why? If she wouldn't wait, I know she's hot, I know she's funny, I know she makes you laugh, but if you can't sit in that jail cell with 100% certainty that she's not out with her friends, them in her ear, talking shit, watching Sex and the City, whatever it is, and her ending up with some other guy, why are you even buying her dinner? For what, sex? He has everything they want. Only person suffering is me. I'll take that all day. Most men who go to jail can't say that. Another thing that gave me absolute peace of mind is the women who love me are waiting for me. Imagine you go to jail and you're completely heads over heels in love with a woman, but you know deep in your heart that she's out in the club and she's stealable. We talk about thoughts like the woman is going to wait for me. I have no interest in a woman. Oh, she's funny, she's cool, she's hot. Don't care. Don't care. Is she going to wait for me? And I also know, because of my experience, and I analyze the experience, and I draw every lesson from that experience. If you're a man who has a heart, one thing I'll say about women that's fantastic, one of the best things women are one of the things women are best at is they're a fantastic mirror. Women are a reflection. If you have any weakness inside of you, or if you have any downfalls as a person, a woman's gonna show you who they are. If you're too emotional, if you're too easy to get angry, she'll teach you that. She'll teach you that you can get angry too fast. Piss her off. If your dick's small, she'll tell you. She'll tell you exactly what is wrong with you when she is mad. She'll sit there and say, you got a short leg and your haircut shit. Get a new haircut. I hate your ugly ass. They'll tell you exactly what is wrong with you. When you look at your bad or your previous relationships with women that went wrong, you can sit there and go, okay, this all went wrong. What has she taught me? She taught me that I'm emotionally affectable. She taught me that if she ignores me, she gets more attention than if she's nice to me. She taught me, you have to sit there and analyze all the lessons and you have to implement them. It's the same with absolutely everything. But women are a fantastic mirror. A lot of these guys who resort to that are men who don't have the self-reflection to sit and say, okay, why did this happen? As a man, you have to be accountable for absolutely everything. Every single thing that happens is your fault. I didn't go to jail because of Romania. When I was in jail, it was my fault. Even though I don't believe it was just, even though I do not believe it was fair, even though I know I am innocent, it is my fault. Because I didn't have to become so influential. I did it. But it's also my fault when I'm on the jet and living my perfect life. I did that. I did the good, I did the bad. You made her leave you. You did. Whether you like it or not, you are the reason she became so cold. You are the reason she doesn't listen anymore. You are the reason she's so arrogant all of a sudden.
100%.
You are. You may not have identified why yet, but if you identify why, then you get into your next relationship healed and understanding what you did wrong and learn from it. That's what you have to do. But most of these men don't want the self-accountability.
I love that.
And they want to blame the women.
Yep.
You have to blame yourself. I know exactly now how to keep a woman happy. So I ain't got nothing to worry about. I've learned my lessons. I know exactly how to keep a woman happy. I know when to set a boundary, when to be nice. I know exactly what to do because I've self-analyzed. A lot of these red pill guys, they want to do exactly like you said, just run around and just bang chicks because they've never looked in the mirror and go, why do these chicks not want to just love me? Why am I a fuck up? You're not perfect. God is perfect. Nobody is perfect.